Welcome into the DNVR Avalanche Podcast. We got Eric, we got Rudo live from Studio B doing our thing as the Avs continue to be in the middle of their All-Star break. Eric, you didn't get the chance to talk about this, but we talked about the other day before we actually get into the show. I wanted to ask you, back when you played hockey, All-Star game, kind of a stat that mattered? How many All-Star awards you got? You know, it was something that would come up in Hall of Fame conversations, things like that. Now, with the fan vote, does it matter at all?
It's a good question. I mean, I think your first time, it's like, it's an honor. You're recognized, right? Or you're voted by the fans. Same thing. You know, the fans.
I mean, the first one's always cool.
I mean,
right?
it's cool, you know. And
not
all
that you wouldn't know.
No,
much
I wouldn't
about
know.
that.
That's my point. And you're not making fun of me. It's true. You know, like, it's two of us, right? You know what I mean? Like, I got three of us, Tiff, too. So it's like, but I think that back then it was more like, you got to remember the schedule was a little different.
Yeah.
It wasn't such a long, you know, with the summers. And I mean, it's such a 12-month business nowadays. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like and it was quick. And it was like 48 hours and see you later. And, you know, now it's kind of tied in with the break and right. You know what I mean? Like it's
event.
you know, and then each team needs that 5 days off, right? Whatever it is. And then the Avs are getting it at the front end. Some teams are getting it on the back end. I don't know. I think you owe it to the league and the sponsorships and all that stuff. And I think Crosby's been an unbelievable ambassador. I mean, Wayne was the best back then.
Yeah.
I think it's important to grow the game, grow the league. But I'm just saying on the flip side of things, as you know, if you're managing a team, it's kind of like, oh, it'd be nice for those guys to get a break. You know what I mean? And I know it's not taxing. It's not that big of a deal. Like they're not. It's not like they're going to play 3 games in 4 nights. They're
cruising around out there.
They're cruising around and no different. They're getting a break. They'll go some sponsored like banquets and you know, have a couple drinks and, you know, kind of let loose good meals. So, I mean, it's nothing there. I think I certainly make too much of it maybe. Then maybe I should, you know. But I think that after a while, it does wear off a little bit. I mean, just look at Ovechkin.
You're going to your 7th one or whatever it is.
Like Ovechkin always kind of like, well, I'll take
just suspend me a game.
I'll take the day off. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I think a lot of it is, and there's always going to be snubs. Of course. I mean, and especially with the format that they have now, that it's always kind of been like that, trying to get every team represented. But still, you're going to get some snubs, and I don't know. I mean, I'm one of those guys that I think I blow it out of proportion about needing the break. But I think it's a great honor to.
Oh, sure.
I mean, to go represent yourself, your team, your league, and. Yep. And sometimes it's fun, too, for the younger guys, and they don't have kids, but they're married. It's a nice time to go and meet some new people from the league and from around the league. And sometimes it's good for the older guys as they get to bring their, 10-year-old, 12-year-olds.
Yeah,
kind of nice.
Kids get involved.
I mean? It's awesome.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, they get excited. They're in the locker room. They see Makar. They're like, oh, my God, Makar. You know what I mean? It's pretty cool. So look back maybe at the Kachuk brothers and stuff like that when they're father. You always see the pictures of them with
everybody.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I think from that aspect, I think it's awesome, and they do a good job too. I mean, they do a good job. I think that they overthink it a little bit too on the like this year, like the skills competition.
18 different things going on. Yeah, it's a bit much. It's a bit much for sure.
But I mean. At the end of the day, it's a good tool for them to promote the league. The revenues have gone up over the last few years. We all know that. And, it's post-COVID and all that kind of stuff. And I think it's important to – that's one way for the players to give back a little bit too. You know what I mean? In the sense that the sponsors pay a lot of money to – what I mean? And it is a sponsored event, and sponsorships the All-Star game is a big component of it. Again, I'm not in sales, but I think that our people would tell you, for sure. Like it is a big component.
Yep.
And I think that's their duty as a league members to grow it. So
sure.
Hey, so be it, right? It's all good.
Is what it is.
Yeah.
All right. We are answering a bunch of listener questions today. We did give priority to the people in our Discord. So if you want to become a diehard with us here at DNVR and get access to the Discord, we will give you priority questions in there for our next mailbag. Tiff, you have all the questions set up. Where are we going first? Yeah, no, this is Tiff's show. She's running it. All right. Our first question is the best North American NHL players and the best European NHL players. Who would be your pick in a winner-take-all one-game series?
Well, I know I read that earlier, and I was driving and I was thinking about that because that's a superb question.
I don't think it's that hard for me.
Well, I'm gonna give it to you, but I got one condition. So
okay.
Yeah, I'll give it to you first.
It's North America.
Yeah,
not that Europe isn't super good, but 10 years from now, I think it might be different. But it's still North America that dominates hockey.
It's funny. Oh, it can't be that far away. I was reading the question on my phone earlier, like when I was sitting, and that was a good question because I was like, it got me thinking. My first question was, where is it played? You know what I mean?
That's fair,
right? When I say where, is it at a rink in Europe where it's Olympic size, or is it? You know what I mean? So that makes a big difference for me.
It does.
I always say I see, like Hughs Wielander this week. I was with in Boston, and his first round pick last year for Vancouver. Same thing, and my simple question to him was, why are you in North America? You're 18. You know what I mean? Like you don't want to follow the footsteps. So, and a lot of it was like, yeah, but you get used to the North American style and the North American rinks.
Yeah.
And it does play a big factor. It does. I think either way, North America would win both anyway, but I think it'd be a little closer if it was played on the Olympic size sheet.
All right. Fair enough.
That's just what I think.
Yeah. Again, there's a bunch of incredible European players. Don't want to take anything away from them. Finnish and Swedish teams are extremely good.
Awesome.
But when you put North America together,
there's
both Canada and US,
it's too much.
You're asking for too much.
Too much.
You're talking about a top line of Nathan McKinnon, Connor McDavid, and Austin Matthews. That's if you don't want to play them down the middle, in which case Austin Matthews is your 3C, which is outrageous. Yeah. It's got to be North America. All right. What we got next? I just want to know how hard Joe and GM are working those phones. I have no doubt that they are. It would just be interesting to know the details. Eric, you're the front office guy. Yeah. It's we're still about a month and a half, a little less than a month and a half away from the deadline. How busy is it right now?
Here's what I'll say. Things have changed over the years, especially with these things, right? It's just so much more easier
to get in touch with people
nowadays. And, there's no more excuse before, but I couldn't get a hold of them, played phone tag. I mean, really? You can just send a quick no, right? I mean, that's your way of telling Rudo, like, yeah, I tried, but I didn't want to try, but here's my answer.
Not
right?
talking to that guy.
Yeah, exactly. These guys, C-Mac's a worker. I can tell you that. And it's known around the National League that he is a worker. He's well surrounded. This is, a solid pro staff and Joe, and they have a good team, and most importantly, and I think it comes down to another question too later, but most importantly is they have a good relationship with the coaches, which is very important. Coaches don't have a say in trades. That's not what I'm saying, but a style of play, obviously, what are your thoughts on what we need? And, they'll listen to the coaches probably a lot more than they'll listen to you and me. You know what I mean? Even though we're right.
Definitely.
You know what I'm saying?
I would hope so.
So they do get on the phone. I've seen managers, honestly, like they get their sheet and, it's Monday, Tuesday. They on Mondays, this is who they get a hold of. You know what I mean? They get a hold of those 15 dudes, and on Tuesday they get a hold of those other 15 or whatever, 16, so you cover the 32 teams, and it's just a habit. Hey, just checking in, you know what I mean? Just, have you heard anything? And there's a lot of relationships, and And sometimes it can be good to do that. Sometimes it can be bad because then that's all stuff kind of goes out and goes around. But some guys can't help themselves. They talk, right? Yeah. So it's like, so you get some information about, so he is available. Like, you know what I mean? Because they talk to him, and guys don't mean to say it. It just slips, Guys are respectful. I mean, the GMs are respectful, but because you got to remember, a trade is a trade, but it's also someone's life. You know what I mean? For sure. A wife, parents, kids, we make fun, right? We have fun with it. It's awesome, as we should. But, when it comes down to you're the one making the call, and it's not always that easy, and there's a lot of things you got to be careful. And if things don't work out, you don't want to make sure that asset now, because everybody's an asset, right? I feel like I'm treated like a brick, and well, that's what you are. I mean, that's what we are, right? I'm just saying that's what you are, an asset to a franchise. So,
from
call it whatever
purely
you want.
Business aspect. It's
you
just
are,
true. Yeah,
absolutely. And I'm not saying there's no feelings and, all that stuff, but so those guys, they get on the phone, mostly C-Mac, obviously, because he's in the chair. And, after having meetings, and they're in daily communication, like I said, with Joe and with the staff, and injuries change everything, right? Boom, you get one injury and it just changed everything.
All of a sudden, completely different outlook.
There's a cap that you have to, you have to follow. There's rules, there's everything. But, I mean, always getting on the phone is important, because you have to be aware of what's out there and what's happening. And usually, I'm not saying all the time, because I've seen trades where all of a sudden it's just one Tuesday afternoon, you get a phone call and you're like, what? You know what I mean? And that's why that's why you have pro guys. That's why you have amateur guys that are ready to go too. You have to know each team's depth charts.
Yep.
Some guys are really good at it. Some teams are really good at it, because hey, I need to do this in the next couple hours. And then, you're talking about, I don't know, Anaheim's depth chart. And then all of a sudden,
they throw this
as
guy
a team, you don't even know
yeah.
as a depth chart what's going on. So it's important. So there's guys out there. Yes, C-Mac and Joe make the final decisions. They direct the boat and everything. But the pro guys are in charge of the depth chart,
whenever someone's name comes up,
right. They have to know exactly, everybody on Anaheim, everybody on San Diego, their farm team, right, at the American League level. And then the amateur guys are somebody that's in charge of it. You have to know the depth chart, because that's how you can not get, thrown off beat a little bit with a name sometimes. And then you're, I'll call you back. You know what I mean? Like, and you're like, what? But, so it's important to get on the phone, especially this time of year. You don't wait till the last second. It doesn't exist nowadays. It's impossible.
Yeah.
You might, because you get a phone call. Again, like I said, it's the usual. No. Sometimes yes. Like somebody's been working on something at the deadline, it doesn't happen. Then because whenever there's a time limit, like which is trade deadline day, right? Then it throws things out the window, and then teams are like, oh my God, I just got screwed by, Team X. And then they call you and they're like, well, can I get Rudo now? Can I get Rudo out of here? So that's kind of what I mean by last minute.
That's how the price goes up there.
Well, yeah. And then it's like, oh, you do things on impulse. So, that's not fun. You need someone to like tie you down, like just sit back, because don't kid yourself, trade deadline, you always have the rosters. Coaches have the rosters on the board. And it's like, oh, what if we put Gretzky there and Bobby Orr right there? It looks awesome. You know what I mean? And then
all you got to do is go out and get two great players.
Yeah, and then until you get disappointed and you're like, oh, we don't have those guys. So, those guys get on the phone daily, and I think it's an important process. And as right now, it's heating up for sure.
All right, let's do one more here. Which Avalanche villain would you most like to see in the Mavs uniform? It's a hard question.
I know.
I don't know. Are we talking current villains or like historical villains?
Let's go current.
Current? What counts as a villain, too? I don't know. It's tough. Like, is someone like Joe Pavelski a villain?
Yeah.
He would be sick. I'd take Joe Pavelski.
That's a good one.
I don't know if he counts as a villain, though.
He does. He's always like sinking the Avs. So that's...
Yeah, but he doesn't have any like huge goals against the. I mean, he scores a ton against them, but it's not like a Kiviranta's goals in the playoffs or anything.
Let's think here. I'm gonna go.
Tough choice.
Yeah, I think he's a good player. I don't think he's a dirty player, but he had an incident last year. I'm going to go Jordan Eberle.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like villain because of, what happened with
breaks Cogs' neck,
and stuff like that. But, I think it is what it is. It was it's an accident. I do like him. I do think he'd be a good fit, but what do I know?
I've always liked Eberle.
Yeah, but I like him.
I'm not sure about that contract, but
yeah,
he continues to be an effective player. So I don't know. I feel like we don't have a great answer for that one.
Yeah, good question.
Huh? Yeah, sure. Management seems to believe in players, Ben Meyer specifically, and coaching doesn't. When does management just tell the coaching staff to play a player, and how much friction does it cause? It's a tough balancing act, right? There's a little give and there's a little take there, because even if you tell a coach to play a player, okay, he throws them out there for 5 minutes a night, and whatever happens at that point. But I think there's probably less of that in the Avs organization than some people think. I'm sure there's some of it where Bednar's looking at them and saying, hey, I don't trust these guys. But I think for the most part, the Avs front office and Bednar are on the same page.
Yeah, and I said that earlier. And I know for a fact they are. I mean, first of all, that's how you got longevity as a coach, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
because they're on the side. And I'm not saying he's a yes man. That's not what I was saying. I'm saying that they have the respect there, and then they've won together, and then maybe 8 years. What is it? 7 years ago, Bednar?
This would be,
I'm sure
this season would be season 7.
Season 7. So I'm sure 7 years ago he didn't say one word about, the type of player. I did whatever I play, I'm going to do it. But now you have a resume. You have a staff that's had success with Ray and Prater, those guys, and Brett in the video room, those and the goalie coach, right? UC. So they've been together for a while. They know what to expect from one another, and I think that when it comes down to, for example, Ben Meyers, like, coach ultimately will. I've seen GMs, dictate who gets in the lineup, which I think is wrong. I think it's a tough way to coach. You know what I mean? Because your hands are tied, and it's like, oh.
At that point, why not just be the coach too?
Well, that's my point. So it's hard. Now, there are times. Trade deadline times, like, you're going to come downstairs and you're going to tell Bednar, yeah, Rudo's playing tonight. You know what I mean? Like, well, who's out? I don't know. You figure it out. But Rudo's playing because we have a deal on the table for him. They want to see him play one more time. They want to make sure that he's good, he's healthy. You know what I mean? Yeah. Rudo's playing tonight. Yeah. That happens.
Sure.
And coaches know that. No, that happens. Sometimes that managers tell coaches their lineup. Well, I think it's wrong. You're going to see a dysfunctional family team there. It's wrong. Like, it doesn't last.
Look at the Avs this year, where you're 20 games into Tatar and Jared Bednar's up there on the stand saying, I thought he was one of our better players tonight, when he's like a -2. And
sometimes you gotta, make you guys look good. Yeah. You know what I mean? You gotta dress them up. Like, they're going through a tough stage and you try to trade them, or you know what I mean? So, I mean, it's rare. It's not rare. It happens. Would I like to be in those shoes? No. Would I ever do that? Tell a coach who to play? No. If I'm a coach, would I like someone to tell me who to play? No. It does happen. In the Myers, for example, like, again, it's a college free agent, and the Avs they played it a little bit, right, in the last few years with the trades that they made, and he signed 2 years ago, and it was a good signing. And but you got to remember, like, you're not going to please to everybody. Yeah. I mean, it just doesn't exist. It doesn't happen. And it's the same thing to a coach. A coach might, first of all, it's never personal, right? I mean, of course, the Avs do a good job, and they go get some quality people, some, you know what I mean? Somewhere, somehow, you don't want to bring in a clown on your team, right? I mean, you just don't. It just doesn't work. But let's put it that everybody's an awesome guy. Great. As a coach, it's tough to like everybody. It's just not going to happen. And your head's on the chopping block too at the end of the day. Just like C-Max is for trades and for stuff like that. As a coach, it's your head that's on the chopper. If you don't win, then you're the one
you're the first guy out. Yep.
You're the guy that's going to get the finger pointed at. So I don't think it's personal, for example, with Ben Myers. I just think that he thinks he's okay. You know what I mean? And I'm sure somebody in the organization thinks he's better than what he's been shown to have an opportunity about. I don't know if that makes sense what I'm saying, but like the amount of ice time he's gotten. But ultimately it comes down to, to the coaches and sometimes you have no choice because it's like, hey, there's no help coming. There's nobody. This is what
just got to play this guy. Yep.
You got to play this guy, because that's reality. Yep. So yeah, but it's interesting to see sometimes, the way it's handled by management and coaches.
Yeah. It varies from team to team too. We got a dork in the chat calling us nerds.
Oh my God, I'm looking at him.
Hope you're enjoying your time off, AJ.
The myth, the legend.
For us, look, we might not always know what's going on in the front office Avs Inner Circle, but you know what's up with Circle K's Inner Circle. You can sign up for Inner Circle today. That QR code on screen, or go to circleck.com/Inner Circle today. You get a bunch of amazing rewards by just putting your email and phone number in there, including 25% or 25 cents rather off your first 5 fill-ups of gas with them. They also are giving away a bunch of Polar Pops for free too. So if you're, I don't know, winter is a little bit of you guys like ice cream in the winter?
Yes.
When I was a kid, we always used to, if it hit to negative degrees, we'd always go get ice cream.
Yes.
Polar Pop's not really ice cream, I guess. It's like frozen ice, I guess. A little bit different, but either way.
Similar but different. Like, I'm a iced coffee drinker all year round.
There you go. I mean, iced coffee is just better than hot coffee. Let's be real. What you can get at Circle K. So
yes,
go jump in with it with Circle K. Make sure you're getting your discounts with the Inner Circle Rewards program. Again, use the QR code on screen or go to circlek.com/Inner Circle to get signed up today. And then take your iced coffee home, sit yourself down on the couch, watch yourself some Fubo TV. FuboTV.com/DNVR to get 15% off your first month of Fubo Pro. Fubo's great. They have over 140 different channels. They've got live shows. They've got movies. They've got the news. Of course, they have your Colorado sports. It's the easiest way to watch the Avalanche right now. Fubo comes with a 1,000-hour DVR too. So even if you're out for dinner one night or whatever and you can't watch the game live, you can record it. You'll be all good there. So Fubo has you covered pretty much no matter what it is. Go check it out today. There's no hassle. You can even get a free trial if you want. Cancel at any time. They're not hard to use. FuboTV.com/DNVR to get that 15% off Fubo Pro. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. Let's keep the questions coming, I guess.
What does that mean? Tiff and Rudo with the correct takes.
Iced coffee is best coffee.
Oh, all right. I like it.
What do you think has been the most underrated or unjustly least talked about storyline with the Avs and or the NHL this year?
Tough one there.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with the Avs first.
Yeah,
let's do an Avs storyline first, and I think it might be Josh Manson, who particularly over the last 20 games or so, he doesn't have every game amazing. There are some ups and downs, but he's been a very, very solid piece for Colorado's defense this year, especially with guys like Sam Girard and Bowen Byram missing time. Manson has really done a good job of filling in on that second pairing and not just being the Josh Manson run into stuff, do some damage. He's also been pitching in fairly consistently on the offensive side.
Yeah, I agree with you. He's been great. Maybe on the same token there, I'll use Sammy. You know what I mean? Sure. Because, he kind of, went away for a bit, right? You know what I mean? Like off the roster. And I think he's been great since he's been back. He looks happy. He's, I just like him. I just do. I just think he's underrated. I think that the easiest sentence for me to say about this is you don't know what you got until he's gone, right? And sure. I felt that when he was gone for, I don't remember how many games that was, at least 15, right? Yep. then you're like, yeah, I miss him.
By game 5 of that, you're like, oh boy.
Yeah, boy, I miss him. You know what I mean? And good on him. You know, he's seems to be happy, seems to be back, and that's awesome. So I'm going to stick with him. And Tiff and I were talking earlier, and we're saying like Logan O'Connor, but it's like, man, we talk about him a lot. Every show. We love him, man. Not underrated. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's kind of hard. And same with Sam Malinsky. You know what I mean? Because it's like, I just feel we talk about those two all the time. You know what I mean?
I agree. Yeah.
But yeah, it is a story it's a great story. Those two, they're great stories in their own ways. But I think that we touch upon them so much that can't say it's forgotten, you know?
Yeah. Around the NHL, until about a week ago, I would have said it's Columbus's disaster of a season, but they have gone full nuclear the last week or so, so it's not really anymore.
I just saw Fantilli's out 8 weeks.
Yeah. It's
just, did you see the incident? Like,
well, I haven't seen the clip, but I know the laceration.
No clip, but it's the same thing. You get the same
yeah.
And then you're like, you feel it. You're like, well, that's weird. You know what I mean? Like, so, man, I mean, everything's going wrong there.
They're struggling right now.
Wow.
It's tough to be a Blue Jacket. That's for sure. All right. I think unless you have another NHL one, we're good.
Well, I mean, but the question was a team, right?
Well, just an underrated NHL storyline.
Yeah, and then I'm going to go, I mean, the Kings right now, like, oh my God.
They are imploding.
That is a freaking big game tonight. Like, it's a huge game tonight.
Yep.
You lose,
you're done.
You got to be like, hold on a second. Now we have a break. Like, we got to, again, you don't wish harm on anybody. Remember, it's always that. But you really have to sit back now. And I think it changes your break plans, you know, a little bit.
Sure.
And you're like, hold on a second. Like,
got some work to do here.
Yeah, hold on a second. We have to just sit back right now and just kind of sit and go through where are we going wrong? Because everything they touched was gold.
Yep.
I mean, and now they can't do anything right. I mean, it's unbelievable. As a team, as individuals,
they went from
just
leading the West to now tied for a wild card spot.
And think of Edmonton, you know, like, you know, what about the 2 seasons? You know what I mean? Those two teams. It's pretty crazy. I don't know. I would say
don't think that one's underrated. LA for sure, but
no, not the Oilers. Everybody's talking about. That's awesome. I mean, it's an unbelievable run.
Yeah,
what a run! I'm gonna watch as soon as the break's over. I think they play Vegas, right? I'm like, all right, I'm watching that game.
While the streak continues, you might as well tune in. It's must see TV at that point.
It is fun.
All right, what's the next one? If you, being Rudo and Eric, were in charge of the 2018 draft, which player would you have taken instead of Martin Kaut? I believe the person who asked this said they liked Keandre Miller.
Yeah, I cheated too. So I did look a couple hours ago. Yeah. Right. I got the same answer. I mean, obviously, it's it's a great pick, by the way, Keandre Miller. You look back and it's kind of a weird draft. You know what I mean? Looking at it, I went deep. I mean, then I even saw guys like Paul Cotter, which I like, on the 4th round, and you know what I mean. But I mean, it's like, you know, that's why I'm saying it's not realistic to say at that time. There's a reason why guys are picked in the 4th round. You know, at that time, they're just, again, you're going on projection all the time. That's why I hate 18-year-olds. You know what I mean? Like a lot of times, it's not a lot of times. You are drafting on projection, so you know a lot can happen, and didn't look to be a very deep draft.
It is not.
But I have to agree, Keandre Miller's the name that popped at me as well. Like, what an awesome pick the Rangers got there, and you know, I think we're seeing the same thing.
Just to be, Cal was at 16. Behind him, you had Ty Smith, Liam Foudy, Jay O'Brien, Rasmus Kupari, Ryan Merkley. Only 2 of those guys even have 100 NHL games. None of them are regular NHL players. In the case of guys like Jay O'Brien, haven't even touched the NHL yet. Oh. So it's not like Martin Kaut was alone as a pick that didn't really work out in the middle of that 1st round.
Tough draft.
Yeah, it's without like going back and using hindsight, I really liked Joe Veleno in that draft year. Now Veleno's Veleno in the NHL, but pretty hard bottom six guy too. So it's not like you would be getting
not a star,
incredible value there or anything like that.
Yep.
Certainly with today's stats, Miller would be the best pick of a guy that you would reasonably take in the first round at the very least. If you're dreaming a little bit, Alex Romanov drafted at the top of the second round. If you want maybe more of a
that's a good
well-rounded
NHLer,
D, so
probably my second pick.
There you go.
Yep,
couple different options there. Next question. Tiff's not ready. We were too fast on the draft content for her. What's one bubble team you think with a couple additions could be dangerous in the playoffs? And what's one you think should blow it up?
Let's go blow it up. I'm going to go Calgary Flames.
Oh, yeah. They got to nuke it for sure.
I mean, at some point, you have to. And there's too many UFAs there. Hanifin, Lindholm. They signed, obviously, Backlund.
Yep.
Tanev. I mean, the list goes on, right? Even Markstrom is probably down to what? Year left on his deal.
I want to say 2, but I don't
one or
actually
2
know.
left, but I mean, whatever. Right around there. It's close.
Yep.
I mean, that would be the one that you just gotta. You just gotta go.
It's been a decade of this.
You gotta strip it. You know. As far as I'm gonna use the same freaking team I just talked about. This the LA Kings. I'm telling you, I had them picked at the start of the year that they're gonna win that division. We all look like geniuses after 25 games. That's why the season's not 25 games. But they were hot. They were there. They were tough to play against. Now a lot of shit's happened since. But I'm gonna stick with them. That all of a sudden they're righting that ship. I don't want to bag on the goaltending, but goaltending was good. Now it's not good. Yeah. So things change quickly. You grab someone. This is not a team you'd want to play if they're,
You go out and get a goaltender, and I think they're
right there. So I would say this is a team, that they should. I don't think they should pull the plug. They've been there where they've stripped it. They've stripped. They've taken the Band-Aid, ripped it. You know what I mean? So now it's like they were doing that step this year, hence the Dubois move and, the Dano move last year or 2 years ago, whatever. You know what I mean? They were just slowly getting there to get results. And right now they were the talk of the league. And now, so that would be my answer.
I'll take it. I agree with you on Calgary. I'll take a different route for the could get good.
Sure.
And I don't think it'll be this year. I think they're probably still a little bit further away, but I'll say Arizona. I think there's a team there with enough pieces in place that they're ready to start pushing for the playoffs. And I probably don't make it this year, but next year I think you start to see a bunch of things fall into place for them. Obviously, they already have some pieces in the NHL like Logan Cooley and things like that, but you have guys like a Connor Geekie down the line. They've kind of waffled back and forth with a Dylan Guenther between the AHL and the NHL this year. Can they get to the next level of like true cup contention? I'm not sure. They either need Logan Cooley to really, truly break out or find a way to go get a true superstar player. But certainly I think they are a team that after this season, you start talking about them legitimately as a team that should be making the playoffs. Yeah. So it would be fun. I'd like to see some of these teams start to change things up between Arizona and Buffalo. And as much as I never believe in Buffalo,
I did this year. I got sucked in. I did go back in the August pod, whatever it was, September. I did. I thought it would be better. Not there. Team that's starting to worry me too is the Rangers a little bit. Lately, it's like so.
They'll be all right though.
No, they'll be fine. They just need to ride the ship too a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Is Philly a bubble team? Do they still count as a bubble team? I don't know.
I think that sequence has been tough, right? Since they played the Avs, they dropped what?
They lost 4 in a row, I think. 5 in a row. Yeah, they lost their last 5 in a row.
Yeah, so it's like, that's
not
tough.
Great.
And I think they're going to stick to the plan anyway.
Oh, of course. They were never going to.
They should.
Yeah. I agree.
Even though it's hard sometimes, right? It is hard.
You want to get ahead of yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, whether you're celebrating your bubble team getting into the playoffs or mourning their loss, make sure you're doing it with Breckenridge Brewery, the official beer of DNVR. If you're an Avs fan, you can get the Avalanche Amber Ale, but they have dozens of different flavors, something for everyone. I promise you they have a beer that you will like if you like beer at all. Go check them out. You can get them anywhere in the 50 United States by going to breckbrew.com and using their Breck Beer Locator online to find it at a local liquor store near you. Once you got your Breck Brew, make sure to enjoy the game by throwing a couple of bets down on it over with DraftKings Sportsbook. With DraftKings Sportsbook right now, obviously, there might be this thing that you've heard of called the Super Bowl that's coming up in a couple of weeks. Right now, if you bet $5,
I don't think you can legally say that.
Oh, can I not?
I don't know.
Oh,
I'm just kidding.
I mean, I think it's part of the read. I'm legally allowed to say Super Bowl 58.
Big game.
Yeah. Tiff out here making me lose my job. No, but right now, if you want to bet on that big game, you can bet $5 on the Super Bowl and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. What do we think, Eric? Is using Roman numerals cool or lame for the Super Bowl? Don't care?
No.
Okay.
I get all confused. I'm like, what number is that? Not that smart.
So you don't want to see Stanley Cup LXXX or whatever it is?
2024. Great.
Keep it simple. You can download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use the DNVR code when you sign up. Those new customers can get those $200 in bonus bets instantly when they put $5 in on Super Bowl 58 with code DNVR. Of course, DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 58. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER, or in West Virginia, visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY. Text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/football for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources.
Yes.
Whew. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. Let's keep these questions rolling. Can you dunk? Could you? I'm assuming you can't dunk anymore, but could you ever dunk?
No.
Never?
I could touch the rim, though, but
Okay.
I mean, not with the ball.
Yeah,
Just
sure.
Yeah. No, I am not. Nope.
No hops?
There's no hop on my jump there.
Because I could touch the rim too, and I'm a good 3 or 4 inches shorter than you.
Yeah. I mean,
But
that's about it.
Like,
You throw a ball in my hand, then
there's
no way. Yeah.
my hands aren't big enough. I
No.
can't. I need both hands to hold
I
on.
wish I would have thought of this before, but there was a TikTok that I remember showing you guys during a game once
Mhm.
of somebody on the Rangers like jumping up trying to get like a soccer ball, and he got like 2 inches off, like literally like just like the babiest little jump I've ever seen in my life. And don't hate me if I get this wrong. I want to say it was Max Domi. Don't
hope
come
it
for
was
me,
Max
Max,
Domi.
but I think it was you.
Yeah, I mean, jumping isn't really a skill you need very often in the NHL, I guess. So
No.
fair enough.
You need power, but I mean, I guess power makes you, like loud. I mean, you get tested, right?
Yeah, they do
they
the
test you,
vertical.
whatever they
Yeah,
call this thing
yeah.
there. I was never like out there.
But they also test pull-ups, and a bunch of guys who can do 0 of those end up being pretty good in the
Yeah, like Sammy Bennett. Like,
Yeah,
you kidding me?
exactly.
Guy played like guy's a friggin' animal on the ice. We can't do a pull up. Hey, whatever.
Sometimes it matters more what you do on the ice.
Yeah.
At the midway point of the season, rank/rate the acquisitions of the Avalanche.
Sure.
Presumably you mean free agents as well. So guys like Miles Wood.
Yeah.
It would be Wood, Ross Colton, Jonathan Drouin, Ryan Johansson, and I'm forgetting someone. I'm not counting Tatar because they traded him. Who am I forgetting? I don't know. Let's do those 4 first, and I'll think about it.
I'm gonna make it simple. Like for me, Wood, on the same bucket. Drouin, Wood, Colton. For what they bring is all different things, right? Sure. They were brought in for different roles. Right now, they're all 3, I believe, like kind of hitting their stride. I'm going to give them A's, those 3 guys. And then Rigel, I'm going to give him a C, that's just for all the reasons. It's just been a tough fit. Tatar, like you said, has been gone, so we're not going to touch that one. And then I do believe in, okay, do you want to put like Prospitov as a waiver pickup?
He hasn't played enough games. It's exactly. An incomplete anyway.
Incomplete. It's hard to judge.
Freddie Olofsson, I guess.
Yeah, and Freddie. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So that would be a B. I probably for what he is.
He's fine in a 4C role. Yeah,
fine. Would you like better? Could he be better? Probably. Has he been like the best to be in the A category? No, but he's been good enough in my book.
Yeah, I think
a B.
Freddie a B. I would give Colton probably a B+. I would give Miles Wood an A-. I really don't know how to rank Jonathan Drouin because when it's good, it's an A+.
Yeah.
And when it's not good, it's like a B-. Yeah. And then Ryjo to me is a D. And it's not even anything against Ryjo. The best advice I ever got in college is if you go to a class and you don't like the teacher, drop it. Ryjo should drop the Avs. The class hasn't worked out for him.
Yeah.
Not how the NHL works, unfortunately.
No.
But
yeah,
But it and obviously like the Tatar thing didn't work out, but they moved him. They got a pick for him. They moved away from that thing. So even if like Tatar's grade isn't that great, the Avs made it work.
Didn't cost them anything.
Yeah, exactly. And so you're talking about a bunch of acquisitions this offseason where 2 of them you would say didn't really work, and you were able to trade one of them, and we'll see what happens with the other guy in Ryjo.
So that'd be a good offseason. Yeah. You qualify that as successful offseason last offseason. You address needs, and again, there's ways to go, but those needs were more for the spring, right? The big dance.
Yeah.
So
exactly right.
Lots more to come.
How many more questions do we have on here?
2 more graphics.
Cool. And then we'll get to chat ones. Okay. Yep. Will Landeskog return this year? And if so, where will he play in the lineup?
Here's my answer on that. No one knows. Not even him knows. Yeah. I think the plan's been put in place starting last summer, right?
Yeah.
When they decided,
when the surgery happened, yeah.
And I think that there's no expectations, which is good. So I do believe he will be back. That's just what I think and what I wish, maybe, right? What you hope for.
Hopeful thinking.
To what
for sure,
level is going to be? I don't know. We'll see when he steps out there. But what I'll say is, I'll take him to play 5 minutes a night and be on the bench, and absolutely, you know what I mean?
Is the in a world where he does come back, the reality is he hasn't played NHL hockey in 2 years. Are you looking at him as a 4th line, a couple of minutes type guy?
Yeah, that's what I would say. And then to be on the bench, to be a leader, you got to remember, you got to have an important presence. I've heard someone say the other day, like, well, the guy's good on the bench. Like, whoa, this is such a stupid comment. No, it's not. It's not until you've been on the bench. You know how to calm things down. You know how to pump things up. He knows how to do. That's why he's got the C, right? You know what I mean? So that's why I say, even I'm going to set my expectations real low. If he plays like 7 minutes a night and he's out there and he leads in the locker room on the bench and he's a presence right there, I'll be happy with it. If it's more, awesome.
But that would be enough for you to be willing.
That would be enough for
give it a go.
Yes.
All right. I'm pretty much in agreement. Is there a world where Landy comes back and is immediately good to go and plays a ton? Probably, but I don't think that's what's going to happen. Again, first of all, we're living in a world where he comes back, which may well not happen at all.
Exactly.
What's that?
You're just hoping, right?
Okay. But if he does, I think it's much more of a actual on ice small role for Landy on this hockey team. Obviously, going forward next season, whenever, he would play a lot more. But we're a long way off from that. We'll put it that way. All right. Let's keep it rolling. How do Hughs and Makar match up from a D zone perspective? It's interesting this year. Generally speaking, I would easily lean toward Makar as the better player in the D zone. However, this year Makar has been significantly worse on the penalty kill than he has in previous years. Makar is, for the Avs D, their worst penalty killing defenseman right now by the underlying metrics. Quinn Hughs doesn't really play the penalty kill at all, though.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Yeah, no, what I'll say is I really like Quinn Hughs. I really do. Like, I mean, I think to say that you don't like him, you'd be like, it's kind of an ignorant comment. You know what I mean? I love Cale Makar. I mean, I do. I made it known. I'm not going to say his name because it's not fair because that person's not there, but I was with a Hall of Famer defenseman. Yeah, then and everybody was like at dinner and everyone's talking about Makar versus Hughs, and that person really said the difference is they're both awesome. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
They're both unreal. Like, but the difference is one's going to block shots, one's going to be physical, and one usually, you know, is an awesome penalty killer. You know what I mean? Yep. And there's the difference a little bit on the arsenal maybe of their tools. You know what I mean? Where they both dominate a game, they both control the game, they both are unbelievable hockey IQ. They both can skate. They're both so smart on the power play. You know, I think this is where Cale gets the edge on the package. Is right there. It's exactly that. Cale's an underrated hitter. Like he is a solid hitter. He catches guys with the reverse shoulder. He does. I see him block shots. And to that aspect, I played with Brian Leetch, and you know, I always say he reminds me of Leachy and those things. You know what I mean? Where you don't expect that of a superstar. You know what I mean? To be physical, to block shots. And when I say superstar, like elegant superstars, like Quinn Hughs and Cale Makar. You know, they're so beautiful to watch. And you know, I just feel that Cale's skills are underrated when it comes down to those aspects. So yeah, that's what I would say.
I would continue to lean Cale as far as in the defensive zone strictly. Yeah. I think he's the better defenseman.
Yeah.
Obviously Quinn Hughs is having an absurd year on the offensive side of the puck. Not that Cale Makar isn't keeping up with him, but
yeah,
Quinn Hughs is very good there too.
It just came from the ceiling.
Wait, raining in here or what?
No, it wasn't water. It was like, yeah, maybe.
All right.
Wasn't there a question? I mean, I know there's questions about it. Didn't Megan have?
Yeah, Megan did
DM
have
something, whatever.
Yeah, it was about the team plane and like having roommates on the road. Here, I'll pull it up. It's in here. Is it this one or is it the other one? No, it's the other one. All right. I would love to know more about team travel. The plane, does everyone have a first-class seat or is it a normal plane with everyone in coach? How does the card table work? Who gets in? Is it actually a table? And do the guys have roommates in the hotel or do they just get their own room?
Yeah, all right, we'll get to the plane there. I don't know what they're using, the Avs, anymore. What charter company? I said that before on a podcast. Like there's a bunch of NHL teams and a bunch of NBA teams that they all use the same company, you know, and let's say there's 6, 7 of those. They're usually pretty much all the same. If it's Air Canada, you know, they're built the same way. Yeah, it's not a regular plane where you walk in and then there's just like, you know, seats. There are some seats like that, and then you get in there and then all of a sudden there's a bunch of, you know, lazy boys or whatever, solo ones, and then there's a couple areas where, you know, the 4 guys, you know, face each other with a table like this in the middle. Yeah. It's an actual table, and they use those for food, right? For, you know, just to leave stuff there when you walk on the plane. There's usually, I mean, listen, there's a big difference between the American League and the NHL. You know what I mean? You get on those planes and it's like, oh my Lord, there's food everywhere. It's nice. And I always said, like, the New York Rangers plane bag, that was nicer than the bathroom was nicer than the one at my house. Like, you know what I mean? It was like beautiful in there. Like, you get the menu and then, you know, it tells you what you're going to have. You get the logos. So it's, yeah, they're all pretty much all first class seats and they're all, you got to remember the NBA too. They have some tall guys, you know,
they
so
need the leg room.
You got to remember it. You got to make, and then, but they have a smaller team, right? So there's less, you know,
true.
But usually management's in the front and maybe like Mosier, you know, like TV people, they're in the front and there's a little bit of a separation and then the guys are in the back. And then there's always guys that are more loners and, you know, I mean, they'll watch their Netflix and their stuff. And then there's always, most teams have been part of this. Usually 2-guard games, you know, there's the A table and the B table, you know what I mean? The A table, maybe there's higher stakes, you know, the B table, lower stakes, you know, like, but it depends, you know, like one year was big friggin' poker, you know, like it was a big poker plane for a few years. The Avs, like I can tell you that, guys had nicknames and I mean, it was like, you know, it was for real. But I don't know what they play now. I mean, it could be poker. It could be anything. But there's some card sharks out there that pretend they're no good, especially if you get traded. And it's like, you guys need an extra player, you know. But then all of a sudden it's like, you got a shark in there. But yeah. And then roommates, it's all part of the new CBA, the last CBA they did. Like back then, there was 2 people per room. Now it's once you reach. Again, don't quote me. You can go look on the CBA. Let's say 100 games. I'm using a number. Then you have to get your own room, which, you know, I always enjoyed roommates. You know, I had Stefan Yell for years. Him and I were awesome, compatible. Like in New York Rangers, I had Kirk McLean for years. And you get accustomed to your roommate. It's kind of fun. Yeah. I don't like to watch TV by myself. So it's kind of fun to be with someone. You know, like it was kind of not lonely. Sometimes you're gone for 7-8 days. I just, you know,
sitting in an empty room.
Yeah. It's kind of like, whatever. So it's all league regulated now. So yeah. So you, and then coaches will pick the roommate. If you and me are rookies, then, you know, it just makes sense. And you and me are together. And, or some teams are just saying, yeah, screw it. You know what? Everybody has singles. And, you know what I mean? Who knows?
Whatever's easy.
It's not a big deal. But I think it's fun. There's some challenges. I mean, I did have one guy one time, you know, like, I got traded in the middle, like, and I didn't get till my hotel room. That team was on the road. It was like midnight or 1 a.m. So you walk in your room, and it's pitch black, and this dude is snoring. And I mean, when I say snoring, like, I'm telling you, like, the freaking curtains were stuck. Like, he was like dragging the curtains in his nose, like, you know, like it was unbelievable. And I was like, I don't even know who it is. You know what I mean? Like,
some guy snoring.
I had no idea who it was. Like, you know, it was pitch black. And then you're nervous. You get traded. You know what I mean? So it's like, oh, whatever. And then, you know, you have to get up in the morning because you have practice. I don't remember where we were. And I'm not like that because I adapt and I make fun of my kids all the time. I adapt, find a way, just go to sleep. And I couldn't do it. Like, I was like, there's not a chance. I grabbed my shit. I went downstairs. I got another room. And I got my own room. Yeah. And then I walked in there and I saw, and Larry Robinson was the coach. And I was like, I saw him at breakfast downstairs and I saw him. I'm like, hey, I'm just telling you right now, like,
didn't get any sleep.
I went in there for an hour. I don't know who it was. I don't know because I didn't have the rooming list. And I'm like, I don't know who it was.
Don't room.
And then I said, I went and got my own room because I was I've never experienced anything like that. And then they started laughing. It was Rick Green was the assistant coach, and those guys started laughing. And they're like, "Oh my God, it's Gaga, Gary Galley." And I was like, I don't know who it was. I never saw him. And then it was unbelievable. And he's like, yeah, nobody wants to room with him. I'm like, well, no shit. I know now why. You know what I mean? Like, it was unbelievable. But so you do adapt. Oh, that's amazing. But yeah, I mean, and sometimes it's like, you know, it's notorious. Like, you know, footy was with, you know, Patty Waugh all those years. And, you know, I mean, there's some guys were together for a long time. You know what I mean? So it's kind of fun. And like I said, being on the road is fun. And it's fun when you have a good roommate. So.
Not one that snores insanely loud.
Sorry, guy. Great guy. Unbelievable guy. He just snores.
All right, we got some chat questions here to get to. What do you think are the most realistic options for the Avs roster, i.e., who do you think the roster is going to look like post-deadline? Thanks. AJ has talked about this a lot.
Yeah.
The more I look at it, as much as it's not my favorite move, I think Henrique is starting to make more and more sense as the guy that they should target. I also think they should go after Lindholm pretty aggressively, but I understand he hasn't had the best year. There are some red flags there for sure. And, he's going to be the most expensive guy in the market. So,
yeah. And I think people will do the homework on him, not on the last, 30 games. They'll do the last 5-6 years.
Yeah.
Team like Boston.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, he would look unbelievable in Boston.
Yeah.
Obviously they lost Berge last year and Krejci and guys like that. But obviously they patched it up this year. But you're talking about to go on a run. I think it would be a great fit for the Avs. I just don't know. Like we said, we don't know what the cost of acquisition is going to be. And I tend to agree with you, and I hate to say it, AJ. Our guy. I'm kidding. No, but I do agree. More like that. I do have to say Sean Monahan's been unbelievable the last few weeks.
Talk about him, and there's a question in all of it.
And I think it's going to be more like an Henrique, and I think it would be a great addition, great fit. But again, it depends what we talked about it earlier in the show. C-Mac and Joe, and they already know what they're willing to give up.
Yep. Right.
And then it's and then there's a gray zone. Maybe we have to think about it. You know what I mean? It's not black or white; it's gray. And then so I think once you're in the trenches, you'll decide the way you're going.
Yep.
But the market will dictate, how things are
for sure
shaping up to be, and they'll be to what extent are they willing to jump in the market and go from there.
Yeah, I think you pretty much nailed it. We are running out of time here, so we do got to speed run these last few questions.
I'll go quick.
Can we all agree Vancouver fans have been the most annoying fans this season? I mean, whatever. Sure. Every fan base is annoying when they're winning, right? So,
I'm just happy because Talk is a good buddy of mine, Rick Talkin, and I think he's done a great job, and I think it's fun, and I think it's, everybody thought it would be we said it stripping the Band-Aid, like Calgary or whatever. Everybody thought it would be such a long process and all that stuff. But when you have key pieces, then it's not that complicated. You got to remember, Demko's back for them this year. That makes a big difference. He was injured last year, so
better than popping off when they're good instead of when they're irrelevant.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really enjoyed the piece on the 2C options, but I'm curious if the crew's opinion on Monahan as a viable option has changed with his recent play. Stylistic fit would have to be for relatively cheap. I don't love it still. And part of that is probably being gun shy about a guy like Ryjo who hasn't worked here. Could it work with Monahan? Sure, definitely.
Yeah, I like Sean Monahan. I've never liked him as a number one center. You got to remember, you come to the Avs, it's a little different. You're slotted in the second line center. Yeah. You're behind McKinnon, no matter what. It doesn't matter if you have 4 hat tricks in a row, you're still playing behind McKinnon. So it's a different. He had bad hips. It was time for him to get those hip surgeries. He got it done. He's looked really good this year for what his body of work has been the last 4 years or so. Yep. So, but yes, the skating is not an asset. So I don't know. Would it be a better fit than Ryjo? I don't know. It could be similar or it could not be, So I wouldn't spin on Sean Monahan. How's that?
That's fair.
For the situation that he would be in here.
Yeah. Next one. If you had to choose between the two, who would you take? McKinnon in his current form or prime Forsberg?
Shit.
Before this year, I would have said Forsberg.
Yeah.
But the way Nathan McKinnon is playing this year, man, I think I have to take McKinnon.
I know. And it's I'm a big Joe and Peter fan because A, they're my age. That's one. B, I play with them and I have so much respect for them for the day in and day out, and the production that they brought was unreal. And obviously there's a couple cups there to show for. So, McKinnon, I know. I agree with you. It's kind of hard to friggin' it's another planet right now. It's another planet right now. And it pains me to say it because I love those other two guys.
Just 140-point pace for McKinnon. That's all.
Crazy right now.
Next up, is there anyone Eric doesn't love or is a big fan of? He told me Jared Tenorti sucks on LA the other day. So
his dad was a friggin' beast. Man. No, I think he's a hard-nosed worker. He's a hard-nosed player. I like him.
What was your least favorite player to play against when you were in the league?
Oh, man, I know. I'm like, Chris Draper was a pain in the butt.
Good answer.
And again, what does he have? Like 22 cups or whatever?
Yeah, he's done pretty well for himself.
I'm not, I'm just saying, but he was just kind of a pain in the ass. And, guys like that, Dallas Drake, hard-nosed guys that were just in your face, but I have a lot of respect for. But, you don't like that. It's like Claude Lemieux, right? They just love playing with him. But, when he was on the other team, you just absolutely don't like him. So,
next one. Do you think we can expect a move for a backup goalie soon, or are they going to wait till the deadline? To be honest with you, I think they'll do it when it feels right, and that genuinely maybe never. They may not go out and get it back. I'm sure they would like to, but a move like that is auxiliary to doing something like going and getting a 2C to me. So
yeah, I know, and we talked about it. They have their priorities A, B, C, right? Is it the backup goalies C? Is it the centers A? Whatever. We don't know. We're not in their room. We're assuming. And on top of it, you don't know. Let's say there's 4 goalies available. You don't know when those teams are going. I mean, it's one thing to say like I'm going to get Rudo, but if Tiff doesn't want to trade Rudo, then Like it's kind of like I can, unless I say I'll give you 4 first-round picks. You know what I mean? Like
something stupid.
Then you're like, whoa, what are we doing here? So it's a cat and mouse game, and that's why deadlines bring that, because in any field in life, like deadlines bring results, right? Whether it's a yay or a nay, or you have to do something. It forces you to do something. Yeah. So the teams, i.e. Montreal, Jake Allen, like whatever, he's going to go somewhere. Fleury. I mean, obviously he's injured, so that throws things down. Maybe they had a suitor for him. I don't know. We don't know that. So I mean, I think it'd be interesting to see, but it can't be much more. What is it? A month left now? Like, what's the date? Like February.
It's like give and take. 40 days, something like 40 that. 40 days.
So yeah. You're getting into the prime time, and then the more you wait too, sometimes as a team, and then all of a sudden, guy gets hurt, and you're like, you got to be kidding me. We're gonna get a freaking second rounder for this guy. Now he has a broken foot. You know what I mean? Like, and it happens all the time.
Yep.
So there's a sweet spot there.
Yep. But you got to find it. It's a hard thing to do.
It is.
And then lastly, realistically, if you could add one player to the roster, who would it be? Being realistic, I don't know. I think that kind of covers the same Henrik Lindholm style of guys.
Yeah.
So kind of already answered that one. But we are out of time, unfortunately. We can't get to everyone's questions. I'm sorry for that. Hopefully y'all enjoyed the show. Hopefully y'all enjoyed the questions. Again, for future mailbag type shows, be sure to join the Discord. Become a diehard member. You can go onto our website, thednvr.com. You become a diehard, there should be a link to the lounge, which was our Discord, where you can get hooked up. And we'll ask in the future for questions from the Discord, and you guys will get priority to get your questions answered. That is it for today. We appreciate all of y'all hanging out with us, having a good time, talking hockey. We got 2 more shows for you this week with Eric running the helm because I'm leaving, taking some time off for myself. So Eric, I'm sure we'll have
rotating
2 great shows for you.
Yeah,
that's the one-off week we get in the year. We got to take advantage. So we appreciate y'all, though, and we will talk to you guys in the next one.
We all silly like the mayor.